want to give it a try this afternoon?
I'm sorry?
Do you think we can maybe give it a try this afternoon? Thank you.
Good afternoon, officer.
Good afternoon.
Now, at the academy, they taught you to make sure your reports were always true, complete, and accurate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in fact, filing a false police report is a felony, correct? And you do everything you can to ensure that all your reports that you write and file are true, complete, and accurate, correct?
To the best of my ability, yes.
Yes. And is your report in this case true, complete, and accurate?
With regard to one error on page 2, I believe.
Okay. What would that error be?
May I refer to the report? Or it's the admin. With regard to an admonition, can I expand on that?
Sure, go ahead.
An admonition on a preliminary.
Let's skip that for now. Do you recall filling out in your report, in your officer's statement, that you had a chemical test result that my client had a blood alcohol of 0.08 or higher? Do you recall putting that in your police report that was true, complete, and accurate?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Do you recall putting in your complete and accurate police report, your true, complete, and accurate police report, that my client had a chemical test result of 0.08 or higher?
No, I don't. No, because the blood test comes afterwards.
Then approach, Your Honor. Maybe I can refresh his memory.
Yes, you may approach.
Is this your handwriting? Officer statement. I've highlighted 0.08 or higher BAC chemical test results.
It's my partner's writing, but yes, that's my statement there.
Okay, so you filled out a statement that my client had blood test results over 0.08 or higher, correct? And this was on February 14th, correct?
That's correct.
And that's before the blood was analyzed, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now let's talk about these field sobriety tests. The first test you gave my client was an eye test, correct?
Correct.
Are you an ophthalmologist?
I'm not.
Have you ever worked for an ophthalmologist?
I have not.
Have you ever been trained to do anything regarding performing medical tests as they relate to eyes?
With regard to vision?
Yes.
No, not to vision.
Okay. And do you know what fine motor units the control of the eyeballs are?
No, that's beyond my scope.
Okay. And so do you know the other things that cause nystagmus? For example, caffeine. Have you heard of that? Aspirin, things of that nature?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said that my client had nystagmus onset prior to 45 degrees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And this 45 degrees was significant enough for you to put in your report. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What precise and accurate scientific instrument did you use to measure this 45 degrees?
The 45 degrees is relative to looking at their face square on.
That's not my question. It is what precise and accurate scientific instrument did you use to determine 45 degrees?
There's no instrument.
You just guess?
Well, that's what I was going to explain.
Don't worry. You don't have an instrument?
No.
You just estimate?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, earlier you testified during direct examination that during the one-leg stand, my client put his foot down repeatedly, correct?
That's correct.
And then he changed his story and said he didn't put his foot down, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What else on your direct examination would you like to correct? Anything else?
With regard to the...
Any of your testimony that was false?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
It's also overly broad, sustained.
Okay. Now, when it comes to driving, the CHP, I have the official DUI enforcement manual of the CHP. Are you familiar with this manual?
What version is it?
It is. I've always ordered them. Approach, Your Honor. I always order them on a monthly basis. They say the last one came out, they initialed it at 10/29/08. Okay, so I read it nightly before retiring. Now, regarding cues, driving cues, that my client was intoxicated. You're familiar that there is a list in the official DUI enforcement manual of the CHP, correct?
There's driving cues, yes.
Okay. Now, you are a biased witness because you are a law enforcement agent trying to convict
Objection,
my client,
argumentative.
correct?
Well, I gotta hear it, don't answer. Your question is, you are a biased witness because?
Because you work for the prosecution and you're trying to convict my client, correct?
Calls for conclusion sustained.
Are you an independent observer of the situation?
Objection, vague.
Overruled.
I'm an independent observer, yes.
You're an independent observer.
Independent observer.
Really? Do you file reports for the DA's office?
I do.
Do you recommend prosecutions to the DA's office?
I do.
Do you recommend defenses to defense attorneys?
I do not.
You're still an independent observer.
But
Are you paid by the state of California to help and assist in prosecutions of DUIs? Or are you here for the love of God?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
Are you being paid to be here?
That's correct.
You receive over $70,000 a year to enforce DUIs, do you not?
Objection, lacks foundation.
That goes to bias.
Overruled.
Okay. You receive over $70,000 a year to enforce DUIs, do you not?
I'm not sure what the breakdown is, the salary-wise.
Well, why don't you tell us and I can do the math for you?
I don't know exactly.
You don't know how much you get paid.
I don't.
Okay. But you are being paid to be here.
I am.
You're not here out of the goodness of your heart, correct?
I'm paid, yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the cues that somebody's driving under the influence as outlined in the official DUI enforcement manual of the California Highway Patrol.
Sure.
Okay? There's unusual driving actions such as weaving within a lane or moving at a slower than normal speed. Is that anywhere in your police report?
No.
No. Okay, you didn't write down that cue. So you only wrote down cues that hurt my client. You didn't write down cues that help my client, correct? As an independent observer.
It's just what I observed, yes.
Okay. Now, as an independent observer, did you mark down a cue that my client was not involved in a traffic collision?
That wasn't...
There wasn't a traffic collision, so it's not in your report.
That's correct.
As an independent observer, did you get a report from another person about my client's driving?
No.
No. Okay. So he didn't. That cue was not found, correct?
That's correct.
You also did not have the cue that he drove into a sobriety checkpoint, correct?
That's correct.
You also did not have the cue that he was weaving, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You also did not have the cue that he was weaving across lanes, correct?
That's correct.
You didn't have the cue that he was straddling a lane, correct?
That's correct.
And now, as an independent observer, did you observe him turning in a wide radius?
No.
Okay. Did you observe him almost striking an object? That cue.
No.
Okay. I think we're on like 15 cues so far. Did you observe swerving?
No.
As an independent observer, did you observe drifting?
No.
In your report, do you talk about stopping problems?
Other than the instruction to turn right, no.
Is that anywhere in your report about an instruction to turn right that my client failed to do?
No.
That's not in your report?
No, it's not.
Your true, correct, and accurate report does not contain a cue of my client's failure to obey an order?
No, that was acknowledged when I first...
You just forgot?
I'm sorry?
Did you forget?
Yes, I did.
When did you recall? Today?
Well, it came up when the first subpoena to come to court, so...
And then that's when you recalled, but you didn't recall that night.
No, I knew that night.
Counsel, let him respond before you pose your next question, please.
Okay. But you wrote down cues, and you're trained to write down cues
Right.
and file complete and accurate reports.
That's correct.
Yet there's nothing